Hey guys, I am Dani and welcome back to Summer Skye Gardens. In case you're new here, I live in South Texas, right north of Houston, and have a flower farm in Splendora, which is kind of on the northeast side. For zone reference, we're in zone 9B, and I am here today because I wanted to talk to you about my favorite sunflowers to grow to make you money. In case you missed it, I put out a video right before this one talking about the best zinnias to grow to make you money. So I wanted to transition to sunflowers. Both of these are two of my favorite flowers. They do wonderful in hot climates, which I know a lot of us are dealing with hotter than normal summers year after year. So I wanted to go through some of the different varieties I've grown, some of the different varieties that I plan to grow, and give you some tips on how you can choose varieties for yourself, especially for sale as cut flowers. As always, if you like this video, give it a big thumbs up and drop me a comment if you have any questions, and let's talk about sunflowers. So there's a few things that you need to realize about growing sunflowers for sell versus growing sunflowers just for yourself in your garden or your landscaping or for pollinators. One of the first things I would encourage you to look at with regard to growing sunflowers is whether they are a single stem or a branching variety. Now, depending on who your target customer is, maybe you're selling wholesale, maybe you're selling to florists or doing event work versus selling retail, you're doing farmers markets, you're doing grocery store, or maybe you even have a U-pick. This can help determine whether you want to grow single stem or branching sunflowers. Now, a great example of why you may want to grow branching varieties is especially great for U-pick fields because you're just getting a lot more bang for your buck, having people come through with way more sunflowers to cut. Or if you're doing a lot of like market bouquets week after week, these varieties are going to put out a lot more stems off of one plant versus, of course, a single stem. It's one seed for one flower. You know, the branching, you may get 4 or 5 or more stems per seed. So not only it's giving you a lot more flowers within a certain amount of space, but it's also a lot more economical. If you look at the seed price for branching versus single stem, sometimes single stem is even more expensive, or even if they're similar, you have to weigh, well, how many stems am I getting? How much are these worth? How am I going to sell them? And you may find that a lot of the branching varieties are a lot better economical choice. Now, on the other hand, you're going to have a lot more color variation if you go with single stem. I find a lot easier to manage how many stems you're going to have every week because you know, okay, if I plant this many this week, in this many days, they should start to bloom, and you can easier succession plant the single stems versus the branching. They may bloom at different times. It's a lot more guesswork on how to succession plant, how to have enough blooms week after week. So I think the branching can be great choices, but there's a lot more trial and error. So if you're newer, you may want to start with the single stem first and then start to incorporate branching later, or do a combination of both, you know, in your first few years. So you know, okay, I should have some guaranteed flowers of these types of varieties. And if I have some extra, I can use them and find a way to sell them. Now, another thing that you want to look at is whether these types of sunflowers have pollen. So pollen sunflowers are wonderful. They're great for the environment. They're wonderful for our pollinator friends to put in your garden and your landscaping, but they are not what you want to choose as cut flowers. There's nothing worse than buying a beautiful bouquet of sunflowers and you go put it on your kitchen table, and the next day your kitchen table is yellow and covered with pollen. You're going to have very upset customers. So I would not choose any pollen varieties whatsoever and save those for your garden and landscape. Make sure you look for varieties that say pollen less. The last thing is to really look at who you are selling to, because there are so many varieties of sunflowers. Some of them look very similar to each other, but there's all different crazy colors now. There's a lot of different shapes, and it can get really overwhelming if you think about, oh, these are so beautiful, I want to grow all these different varieties. Really hone in on who you're selling to. So for instance, here at my flower farm, I have a large U-pick field. I have a CSA, and I am selling to florists. So in my U-pick field, I want to grow some different colorful varieties because those are going to be really attractive to my customers because it's stuff that they've never seen before. I don't want to spend a lot of money on seed. I'm probably going to stick with branching varieties, maybe some single stem, just because it'll be more bang for my buck. But I'm probably not going to go with anything like terribly funky just because I don't want to throw people off. But I have seen people start to gravitate toward some of the darker colors, some of the ombre colors, because they're not going to see those anywhere else. They can go to Walmart or HEB and buy a bouquet of just your regular, yellow with dark center sunflowers for very cheap. But if they come here and they see a solid gold or a white sunflower or one that's like chocolatey red, that's going to be way different than what they see out in the community and can be very attractive. So, I think about thinking about that journey of your customer. I think it's really worthwhile to imagine what they want when they get flowers from you and how they're going to use them, and utilize that in picking the variety. So that's how I'm going to approach my U-pick field. In my production field that I'm growing for my CSA and to florists, I'm going to stick with more single stem varieties so I can succession plant a lot of them. I'm going to stick with some very simple light colors for earlier in the year, so solid gold, some of the white varieties, very simple shapes. And then as the summer comes on, I'll probably do some more, brighter colors, maybe some of the frilled varieties. And then as it gets towards the fall, I'm going to try to grow more darker colors that look really good with fall arrangements, but overall sticking with a lot more simplified sunflowers instead of a lot of the like crazy, looking varieties. So let's talk about some great places that you can buy seeds. So the first place that I want to mention is a breeder that's here in America named Sunflower Steve. That's his nickname, that's his company name. He's one of the top breeders of some really new, fascinating varieties. Now, he doesn't sell the seeds throughout the year. He doesn't have a shop where you can just go online and buy seed. He will put out in his newsletter information on sales that he will do. So in the fall, for example, he put up for sale so many seeds of his Van Gogh mix, which I bought some and I'm going to grow this year. I'm super excited for them. They look gorgeous, but it was a limited supply and it was a very short time frame to buy them. This spring, I think he's releasing another variety. So if you're interested in some really like new, exciting varieties, stuff that looks really different, if you want to support a local breeder, a small business, sign up for Sunflower Steve's newsletter and you will get notified when he is going to have seed available for sale. The next place is probably my favorite place I have found to buy sunflower seeds, and that is Sunflower Selections. That is all they sell. They just sell sunflowers. They have, I think, over 50 varieties, tons of options for single stem and for branching. I like them because I think you get great choices, you get your seed fairly quickly, and they're way cheaper than buying them from other places like GeoSeed or Johnny's. So some of the ones that I am growing from them, of the single stem varieties, the double quick orange, I really like these because they're super fluffy and bright orange. And I found that the florists thought they were super cool and different looking, as well as some of my customers. So I definitely want to grow some of those. And then you cannot go wrong with the Pro Cuts. If you know anything about growing sunflowers, you've probably heard or seen of the Pro Cuts. They are made for being cut flowers, and there's a lot of different colors these days. Some of the more popular ones, you have the Horizon or the Bravo, and these are popular because the heads, instead of being like horizontal, they tilt a little more vertical. So especially if you're doing like wrapped bouquets for market or for your CSA, to have those sunflower heads be facing upwards can be a really big deal and make a really dramatic difference in how your bouquets look. So those have become really popular. The gold light is also a really wonderful color because you have that classic orangey yellow petals, but the center, instead of being dark, it's gold. It's the same color. And I think they're absolutely gorgeous and they grow really, really well. The white light and white nights are also really popular. One note, if you want to grow these, I would grow them earlier in the season when it's not quite as hot, because once it gets like super hot in the summer, so for us, like July, August, September, the bug pressure gets really bad and they love white flowers. So I would probably not grow them once your temperatures get really hot in the late summer. And I think too, by that point, like people don't want white anymore. They want bright, fun, punchy colors, those really rich, yellows, oranges. And then as fall comes, they're wanting some of the darker colors. So I think I love white light and white night. I think they're gorgeous. They're easy to grow, but definitely for the earlier season. So like late spring, early summer. What else? The lemon, that's a newer choice. I think it's really pretty. It's a lot more of a like lighter lemony yellow. The ones that I would not grow from the Pro Cut series are the red, the plum, and the bicolor. Now, don't get me wrong, they're gorgeous. I've grown them, but they have very heavy heads on weak stems, and they look great in the field, but as soon as you cut them, the heads just flop over. And I've talked to so many people that this happens. I think it's just these varieties. So honestly, there's a lot better choices of flowers you can grow that have some of those darker colors. So I would skip the red, the plum, the bicolor, and stick with, for the Pro Cuts, and stick more with the lighter colors. As far as branching goes from sunflower selections, so I really like the terracotta. That's a darker variety. Beautiful, rich colors there. Gypsy, Charmer, and Joker are also super lovely just because they have this ombre effect of kind of yellow, orangey red. So people really find that fascinating. They've never seen that before. And I think those can be really great choices for, the late summer and fall. The golden cheer, so that's like a fluffier, yellowy looking sunflower that's a branching. It's kind of like the double quick orange. So I think that's a great choice. If you want just a classic, yellow, dark centered sunflower, you want to do branching because you want just a ton of them, go with country roads. This will look like your classic sunflower fields that you see on the side of the highway. That's why it's called country roads. It produces a ton of stems, makes a great cut flower. So it's a really good choice for like a U-pick field, especially. Just because you're going to get a lot of sunflowers out of one plant. Now, the next place that I want to mention is just going to be a brief mention. That's Baker Creek Heirloom Seeds. I love Baker Creek. They have so many beautiful, very different varieties of flowers and vegetables. And when it comes to sunflowers, yes, tons of different varieties, stuff that you've never seen before, that you're not going to find other places. I will say their seed is very expensive. You might pay $3 for 35 seeds. That's very expensive. So I don't know. I've grown some of them. They've been beautiful. Some have been better as cut flowers than others, but overall, I think the seed is just too expensive if you're looking to make money selling sunflowers. Now, if you just want to grow some funky looking sunflowers in your garden or landscape, like by all means, I do it at my home. It's super fun. People walk by and love seeing them. But if you have a farm or you're trying to sell sunflowers, I would honestly skip anything from them. So the last two places I'll mention are Geo Seed and Johnny's Select Seeds. And I'm going to kind of talk about them both at the same time because they have a lot of the same varieties and they're very similar in price. So I think if you are going to order sunflower seeds from Geo or Johnny's, you're probably choosing them because you're ordering other flowers. So I did get some varieties from Johnny's because I was ordering other flowers from Johnny's and I wanted to hit the $200 mark to get free shipping because shipping can really be expensive and add up. So I lumped in a few varieties like the lemonade, which is a branching, the chocolat, and I really like the summer breeze mix. I grew that this past fall and it really gives you, I put it in my U-pick field. It gives you a ton of different colors. They all grew really great. They bloomed at different times. So that was super great. So I did order some of those, but really only because I was ordering a bunch of other flowers at the same time. So it was worth it to me. If I was just going to go order sunflowers, I probably would not choose Johnny's. Kind of same thing with the Geo Seed. Geo has a ton of varieties. Them and Johnny's are more expensive than Sunflower Selections. So if you see a variety you like, check Sunflower Selections first. And if they have it, order it from them. If they don't have it and you really want to get it, then I would just say pick either Geo or Johnny's based on if you're ordering other seeds at the same time. So like I did order some from Geo because I was ordering other flowers from Geo. One that I really like is the Sonia branching, kind of like the country roads from Sunflower Selections. The Sonia branching is just really your classic, yellow sunflower with a dark center. It's putting out a lot of stems. You can really pack plants in there and it makes a great, use of your space as well as a great photo backdrop. It's great for U-pick fields. So I really like that variety. All right, guys, so that's it. That's kind of everything I wanted to go over as far as growing sunflowers for sale to make you lots of money. They are a wonderful crop because overall the seed is pretty cheap. They're very easy to grow and you can grow a lot in a small amount of space. One note when you're growing, you will find on the seed packets, they'll say, oh, place your seeds, 9 or 12 inches apart. Do not do that. The further apart you grow sunflowers, they will get giant and have huge heads that you cannot use. Most of us, and this is for single stem, most of us grow our single stem sunflowers 4 to 6 inches apart. That keeps them at a manageable height, the heads at a manageable size for use in bouquets and, as cut flowers. But on the other hand, if you want to just create a beautiful backdrop for photography, if you do want to have some giant sunflowers out in your U-pick field, yes, absolutely plant them further apart. Or, go with a lot of branching varieties. Now the branching, I would space those 9 to 12 inches apart just because they are going to get a lot bigger. But overall, just remember the closer you plant them, the smaller they get, the further apart you plant them, the bigger they get. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you found this video helpful. Comment below if you have any questions. And if there's any other type of flower that you'd love to see me do a video on as far as growing for sale as cut flowers, drop a comment. So I will see you guys in my next video and let's all get growing sunflowers.